Bro, I used to be so lonely and introverted. I remember one time I went on this camp with my friends, and this camp, it's like a 3-day camp. It's, a school camp, So I get into the bus to go into the camp, and I have like my bag, my big bag and everything, and I'm sitting there in the bus, and I feel just so lonely. Like everyone's just talking to each other, having fun. People are like, shouting, playing music, everyone's having fun, and I'm just isolated in the corner. We arrive at the place, everyone's happy, everyone's having fun, and I have very, very, very severe social anxiety. I can't even talk to anyone. I'm so socially anxious and shy and awkward. I can't talk to anyone on that trip. And I'm gonna be honest with you, bro, but this is really deep. I remember on the first night, I'm in this room with like 3 people. I have severe social anxiety. I can't even talk to anyone. Everyone's like looking at me as this like loser guy who's like weird and just creepy, who just can't even speak right. And I tell my friends, I'll just get into the toilet for a second. And I just get into the toilet and I just start crying. I'm crying, like tears running down my cheeks, and I look into the mirror as I'm crying, and I just cry more and more and more because I'm so sad. My social anxiety is so severe. I can't talk to anyone. Everyone hates me. No one wants to talk to me, right? And I made it just a vow to myself that I will do whatever it takes to be that guy who people love talking to, who that popular guy, who just has so many friends, who people just love being around him. I just made that a vow for me. And I used to hate reading at that time. I just used to hate it completely. And I bought this book right here, How to Influence and Influence People, because I was getting into self-improvement a little bit at that time. I bought this book, and everyone recommended that this was like the best book around social skills. And I read this book, and it totally changed my life. I read this book, I implemented the principles. It has 30 principles. I implemented them, most of them, honestly. Especially the 6 ways to make people like you, which I've talked about a lot in my videos. And I implemented them, and I went from this guy who couldn't even talk to anyone without my mind wandering and thinking about something else, and people would look at me as I'm like this, creepy, weird guy, to literally being someone who people just love being around, who has so many friends, who has like, everyone wants to be his friend, everyone likes him, just because of this one book. Like I remember I was walking in the corridor of the school, with my friend, and my friend, I was like handshaking a lot of people. Everyone's like, what's up, Kevin, what's up? And I'm just, handshaking everyone with like a smile. And my friend looks at me, and he's like, you're like the most popular guy in school, right? And I heard that, and honestly, I'm not saying this to boast or anything. I'm just saying this to inspire you, bro. I heard that, and I honestly I told myself like, bro, you've made it, and it was all because of one book. This book, How to Influence People. And I always talk about how this book completely changed my life, bro. If you want to be the guy who people literally pull you from your shirt to talk to you, people literally pull you away to talk to you and just love being around you, you will have infinite friends. Basically, you have so many friends. You'll be the popular guy everywhere you go. Amazing book. And this is honestly the book that changed my life the most, How to Influence and Influence People. And not only this book, but then I read all these books as well, and everyone every one of these books has changed my life in a way. 88% of successful people read. 88%, bro. And it's for a reason, bro. 88%, bro. 88% of successful people read. And it's literally a prerequisite. Like, I think, honestly, in my opinion, successful people read. And I know the statistic, this is a real statistic by the way, you can look up, says 88%. I think it's all successful people read, because if you think about it in like ratios, like probably the 12% are like just successful people that inherited their wealth, or just were successful because their father was successful and their father has read, right? So all successful people read, and it's for a reason. You can literally, think about this, bro, think about this. You can literally master any topic in the world. Master it, like be the best at it, just by reading books about it. You can master getting girls, you can master getting friends, you can master building muscle, you can master making money. Any topic in the world just by reading books. You know, mental health, any topic, you can master it by reading books about it. And in my case, self-improvement, which is the topic I want to master, I want to read every single book that will make me better, that will improve me, that will help me improve myself, and then give that book to you on this channel. Any topic in the world, you can read books about and master. Like, I'll honestly tell you something, bro. Like, when I read a book, like, and I know I said this in the story, but when I read a book, I am literally a person before I read that book, and I'm a completely different person after reading that book. Like, with How to Influence People. Like, when I read this book, bro, I went from a shy, introverted guy who couldn't talk to anyone to someone who just has tons of friends, who's very popular. I became a different person, you know. Meditations, Marcus Aurelius Meditations. I went from someone who stresses, who has tons of hard times, who is very materialistic, who's very needy, to someone who just isn't materialistic, who can handle hard times, who, with this stoic mindset, you know, Atomic Habits. I literally, before reading this, I didn't understand anything about habits, or how they work. But now I literally can start any habit I want very, very easily, you know, with a Millionaire Fast Lane. I used to know nothing about business. Now I know more about business than any business professor. And I used to know nothing about business, and now I have my own business because of this book. You know, what else? The Laws of Human Nature, bro. I didn't know anything about, you know, how people think, you know, human nature. And now I literally know all human nature, all of people's desires. You get the point, basically. Like, reading will honestly change your life. And before you read a book and after you read a book, you are literally a completely different person. You literally become a completely different person, bro. Now, there is this stupid, you know, ridiculous idea. I'll just put this up here. This stupid idea, this bullshit idea that you don't need to read, you just need experience. You know, this is such a fucking stupid idea people like to say and cope because they're too lazy and they don't have the brains to read. They just keep telling yourself, you know what, I just need experience, I don't need to learn anything, I just need experience about life. Well, that is so fucking stupid. That's honestly what poor people say. Poor people always say, you know what, I need experience. I don't need to learn like from, you know, I don't need to read, you know, the Millionaire Fast Lane. I don't need to learn about how to build a successful business. I don't need to learn about that. I just need to learn from my mistakes and, you know, get experience. And I'm not saying experience is bad, learning from mistakes is bad. No, that's an amazing thing I always talk about. But reading books, it's way better because the wise man learns from his mistakes. The wiser man learns from others' mistakes. When you read a book, you are reading about someone who has made tons and tons and tons of mistakes on a certain topic. He has made so many mistakes, and he gives you a book that teaches you all of the mistakes that he did and how he overcame them. Like every single book has the same exact thing. Like every single book, you will hear the author talking about his mistakes, how he overcame them, how you can learn from them. You're learning from the best. You're learning from someone who has made hundreds and hundreds of mistakes. For example, when you read a book on how to maximize muscle growth, how to build like an aesthetic physique, for example, right? You are reading about someone who has like 10 years of experience, who has literally tried everything, who has literally tried every single thing, who has tried every single workout split, every single diet, every single way to train, every single set, rep, intensity scheme. He has tried it all, and he gives you the best way in a book, so you don't have to try all those things. Do you realize how much value is in a fucking book, man? Like, I'm sorry I'm a bit mad, but it just makes me pissed off that people have this stupid idea that you need to learn from your mistakes. Like, yes, you need to learn from your mistakes, but the wiser man learns from others' mistakes by reading books. When you read, you are learning from someone who has made tons and tons of mistakes, who has made hundreds of failures and overcame them. And he teaches you how to overcome these mistakes in your own journey. It's like someone, and he's giving you the best thing that works in a book. Like, honestly, my dad told me this quote, and I will give you this quote right now. Because this quote literally was amazing for me. My dad sees me like I'm reading and things like that. And he tells me, when you read books, it's like every other, teenager, because, every other 16-year-old, he's walking in this dark room. Each and every one of them is walking in this dark room. And you, because you read, you have this flashlight. So you can see where everything is. That's what reading is like. And I will tell you this quote, bro. Like all of your friends, all of the guys you see in your school who are maybe doing good right now, they're all walking in a dark tunnel. They're all walking in a dark room. And you, because you read, bro, and I'm so proud of you for reading and even trying to read, because you read books, bro, you have this kind of like flashlight in that dark room, in that dark tunnel, so you can see where everything is, because you have learned from what everyone has said. Reading honestly changed my life, bro. And honestly, each and every single one of these books has changed my life. Not only the book How to Influence People. Like, this book, it taught me how to treat people. It taught me how to make people like me. It taught me how to have friends. It taught me how people think and what people actually desire in a person. The book The Millionaire Fast Lane. This book, it taught me how to build a business. It taught me to reach out for what people need, right? To actually have a successful business and actually be an entrepreneur and not follow the stupid educational system. The book The Laws of Human Nature taught me so much about people's behavior and why people do certain things, and psychology and how people think, basically. The book Atomic Habits, it taught me how to build any habit I want very, very easily and break any habit that is destroying my life. It literally changed my life. You know, the book Meditations, it taught me how to deal with hard times. It taught me how to overcome any obstacle in my life and how to have peace. You know, the book The Psychology of Money, it taught me how money works in our society. Like, that is so valuable, bro. How money works in our society, bro. How money goes to banks and how money works, basically. You know, the book The Rich Dad Poor Dad, this book taught me how, you know, to not follow the educational system, to not follow what my parents are telling me, to actually build a business, to actually be a rich person, to build assets, not build liabilities. You know, the book The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, this book told me that every single thing in the world, there will always be problems. There will always be problems in whatever you do. There will always be problems. Right? This book gave me values to live up to. It made me not care if someone offended me or something bad happened to me, because I understood that life is just problems. You know, the book Can't Hurt Me, it made me a tough motherfucker. It made me someone who, whatever happens to him, can get up and never give up. You know, the book How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, it taught me how to, it literally saved me from being depressed and being anxious and worrying all the time. This book literally saved me and gave me tactics that I will live with for the rest of my life. So every single one of these books has honestly changed my life. And I don't get, you know, like, why ignorant people keep saying, no, you don't need to read, no, reading isn't important. Reading is honestly the most important self-improvement habit. And bro, I know you always think, you know, like, you're probably in that phase of like, you want to make money, you want to make a lot of money. And I'm telling you, especially if you read books, you will be rich. Especially if you read books, you will be rich, bro. Of a very, very, very simple concept. I'm gonna teach you some shit that you've never learned at the school system about money, basically. And I know we went a bit off topic, but this will literally change your life. Now, making money is a transaction. So you get money by giving value. So you get money by giving value. We know this. You've probably heard this a lot of times. But what exactly is value? And I've learned this from Charlie Morgan, right? So value is created when pain is alleviated. So when you remove someone's pain, you are creating value, and therefore that person will give you money. But what exactly is pain alleviation? What exactly is alleviating pain? Well, it's solving problems. You get money by solving problems. It's that simple. And the more problems you solve and the bigger the problems that you solve, the more money you make. It's that simple. And of course, the way to solve any problem in the world is through information. And how do you get information? Is through books. Like, literally, it works with anything. If you read books on a certain topic, you can probably solve any problem in that topic and you will make a fuck ton of money. Like, let's say you want to make a business on helping people make friends, for example, on social skills. You want to make a business on social skills. If you read How to Influence and Influence People and you read a couple of other social skills book and you just digest the information that's inside, you will literally become a god at social skills, and you will literally be able to help anyone's problem with social skills. Literally. Like someone will be like, I don't have that many friends, and you just ask him like, what's your behavior? Well, I criticize people, I sometimes I don't listen to people that much. Well, there you go. Listen to people more. Stop criticizing them. Appreciate them, praise them. Instantly that person will get more friends, and therefore he will give you money because you solved the problem for him. It's that simple. You solve problems, you get money, and the way to solve problems is through reading books, basically. But, and this is a huge but, right? Not in the way you're thinking. This is a big but. All this will not work if you are not actually learning. All this will not work if you are not actually learning. If you are just reading these books and you're not learning anything, this will not work. But you might ask the question, well, what exactly is learning? And Alex Hormozi has this definition of learning, which I absolutely love, but is it's so true that it's scary, literally. Learning is basically same condition, different behavior. So if you come to me right now and I slap you, I slap you really hard, and it hurts, all right? And then you get up, and then I come and I slap you again. I try to slap you again, but that time you duck, you get down. Congratulations, you have learned. Because you've had the same condition, which is me slapping you, but you had different behavior. You ducked. That way you've learned. That is basically learning, is having the same condition, different behavior. Same condition, different behavior. And if you look at learning this way, you will take action way more. And this is basically what learning is. So if you just read a book, you have learned nothing, because you haven't taken any action. You haven't changed your behavior. So if you, for example, read the book How to Influence and Influence People, and it says, listen to others, and you read that part and you go back and you don't listen to anyone, you have learned nothing, because you haven't changed your behavior. Yes, you have the same condition, but you haven't changed your behavior. Whereas someone else, if you have read How to Influence and Influence People, and it says, be genuinely interested in other people, listen to what others say and smile, and you go out there, when you talk to your family the next time, you smile, you're genuinely interested in what they're saying, and you listen to them, congratulations, you have learned. You will be successful. It's that simple. Like, if I just read How to Influence and Influence People and I didn't implement anything, well, of course I wouldn't have had any success. Of course I wouldn't have been the popular kid. I would be just the same. I would have the same condition with the same behavior. I would have the same condition, so nothing would change. But because I had the same condition and I had different behavior, I started smiling, I started listening to people, I started being genuinely interested in people, I started looking at the other person's point of view. I actually had way more friends. I actually had a lot of friends. Like, everyone wanted to be my friend. It's like someone, goes to the gym, but he doesn't train. He doesn't train to failure. He doesn't increase the weight. He doesn't do anything. He just goes to the gym. Well, congratulations, you've went to the gym, but you haven't really fucking built any muscle. You haven't done anything. Your body has zero reason to change. You see what I mean? So learning, and this is really hard, honestly. Like, this is really hard to do. Having the same condition and different behavior and everything you read is really hard to do. But the more you do, of course, the easier it gets. So learning is same condition, different behavior. And bro, honestly, reading will change your entire life. Just like it changed mine. Start reading and it will change your life. And as always, bro, we're in this together and we're gonna make it. I promise you, we're gonna make it together. Peace, take care.